In the studio with me this morning are Susan and Tammy Jensen from Jensen's Nursery and Garden Center, 2550 McGillivray Boulevard. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in this morning. It's a pleasure to meet you, first of all.
Oh, thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
And to have you guys in. I love talking about plants. I was telling you off air about the Helga Jacobson, who I had in here recently, and she was the one recording the frequency of the plants. So it's weird. All these plant things are happening these days. So it's perfect time.
Yeah, it's certainly becoming a trend. You're seeing a lot of younger people getting back into plants, back into gardening and vegetables and trying to grow their own. So it's a really unique time in the horticulture industry.
Back to their roots, so to speak.
It's a good one.
Bad joke. Sorry, that was a bad joke. So you guys are in. We're going to do the draw. We've, along with you guys donating these two amazing apple trees, we're giving away 2 apple trees to one lucky winner for our Earth Day contest. We asked our listeners to send us their story about the special outdoor place where they like to spend time in and around Winnipeg. They sent us some great pictures as well. But before we do the draw, going to keep people hanging on for a few more minutes. Tell us a little bit about Jensen's Nursery.
Well, we've been in business for over 50 years. Our father started it back in 1966 as a lawn maintenance company and then grew into a landscaping company. And then in the late 80s, I came involved and we started building up the garden center, and then Tammy joined shortly after that. Of course, we worked as teenagers and children, and we always worked. Yeah. But we've, over the last 20 years, grown the garden center into a much larger business to the point that we don't do landscaping anymore. We just do the garden center. And so it's the two. Well, there's me and Tammy, and we have another partner, another Susan, coming involved, and our dad's still very involved as well. Yeah,
you're saying 80 years old, and he's still out there climbing ladders and doing this and doing that.
Yes, he is. He keeps us on our toes. He does not miss a thing. If we try to pull something over on him, he's there.
But you love him anyway.
Oh, yes.
So what was it like growing up, in your whole life basically was spent around plants and flowers? Well, tell me, what was that like?
It was really neat. Like, it was, we had good times of being around plants, and then we had the times of spending spring break delivering catalogs in the snow, in the mud, in the rain. No matter what, that was spring break. But no, I think it's both of us kind of went away and came back, and really it was in our heart. And it was just always in our heart and always part of it. And the nice thing about being in this industry is it's always changing, and it's always new, and it's always exciting. And the evolution of the business over the years has been very interesting, and it never gets boring.
I imagine that. It's changed every year, right?
Yeah.
Every year it's a challenge and intriguing for sure.
Yeah. Every year you have your challenges, and you have your goals, and you have your achievements, and every year is a little different. I don't think we've had one year the same.
Thank you, Susan. We're going to swing the microphone over to her sister, Tammy. Now, it's been a cold spring so far, and things are getting out to a bit of a slow start. How is that going to affect people who want to do planting? It's just, about 2-3 weeks out from where they would normally?
Yeah, it's definitely delaying things this year. You may look out and it's a beautiful sunny day and you want to get a plant and take it home and plant it. But realistically, when you get out in your yard, the ground is frozen. It may be okay for a couple inches, but it's frozen, and you're not going to take that nice fresh plant and stick it in a ice cube, basically. So we definitely have to wait a little longer. So for now, I would just recommend, come out to the greenhouse. We've got, we've set it up kind of like a tropical room, and we've got tropicals and succulents and blooming hibiscus. You just kind of wander around and absorb the heat and save the plants for a little bit later.
So, I know the typical benchmark is the May long weekend. People like to do their planting. It's going to be a little bit later than that this year?
Well, May long weekend, the farmers say the first full moon in June.
Full moon in June.
With the weather being late, I would tend to go with the first full moon in June.
Not till June,
definitely.
Really? That's when you can do the planting for trees and flowers, or you're talking about perennials, right?
That's for annuals and anything that's been in the greenhouse and climatized to the greenhouse. You don't want to just automatically throw it out into the weather. You want to climatize it slowly. So even perennials and shrubs, if the shrubs don't have leaves on them and they're just coming out at the natural, like they're from Manitoba, those ones you can plant. But if you get a tree, if you see at some of the stores, you might see some trees with out in full leaves when nothing else is. Those they're they're not going to do so well if you throw them out early. You want to definitely
Shock.
acclimatize them. Yes.
A shock to the system.
Very shocking. Just like our weather.
So what have you seen? So what's this year? What do you think is going to be the trend? What's the hot trend for this year?
Succulents.
Succulents,
Yes.
indoor and outdoor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, there's always new and exciting plants for outside. There's so many varieties. We have hundreds of perennials, but we're seeing the biggest growing trend is growing your own indoors, succulents, and growing your own vegetables. Anything edible. If you can eat it, people just want to be able to grow their own food, and so we've really expanded our fruit, shrub, tree, and I guess vegetable stock.
And speaking of fruit trees, we have two we're going to give away in a
Yes,
second. A
two.
Goodland and a Honeycrisp. I love Honeycrisp apples.
Honeycrisp
Actually,
are
you don't see a lot of Goodland apples in the markets, or at least in the stores. You see a lot of Honeycrisp, though. I've been finding Honeycrisp a lot of places. I love them. They're crisp, they're sweet, and they're juicy. For me, those are the three benchmarks for an apple.
Yeah.
But tell us a bit about these trees you're giving away.
The Goodland you won't see in the stores as much because it isn't going to last as long. It's not quite as crisp as the Honeycrisp. And it's one that you're going to want to eat or cook or can right away, so it doesn't have a lot of like holding power or storing power. But it is very sweet, very juicy, and a big apple. So it's and it's one of the earlier ones for ripening. So you would want to kind of have that as your first one. Your Honeycrisp in the fridge is going to store for months. So that's why you see it into the stores. And a little bit more on the market. But it is, a lot crisper, a lot denser, but still really good and flavorful. And that's the nice thing with apples is you need two for pollination. So if you want apples, you need two for pollination. And it's always nice to have two different types of apples, and where you don't want to have all soft, quick ripening ones, because then you would have too many apples at one time to deal with. This way, the Goodlands, you can make all your pies, make all your apple sauces, do all that, and then your Honeycrisp, when it comes ripened, you can keep it in the fridge up until even December, January, and that way you can have apples for a longer period of time.
So there was a thought process going into this for sure.
There is.
I'm in the studio with Susan and Tammy Jensen from Jensen's Nursery and Garden Center at 2550 McGillivray Boulevard. They're just down the street from a Costco. I go there every year, and they have some amazing stuff, indoor and outdoor. And we're talking about their nursery, their garden, and the two apple trees we are about to give away. And we found out, we initially launched this contest giving one apple tree to two different winners. And then we had a call from one of our listeners and said, that's not going to work. You need two apple trees. You can't just give one away. They need a pollinator. They need a cross-pollinator. So we quickly changed the contest. We're giving away two. And that was their original intention.
Yes,
it's just,
it
of
was.
course, we're music people, right? I mean, we like our plants and we like our fruit, but don't necessarily know how all that works all the time. But so we're going to give away two apple trees to one winner for our Earth Day contest. And we've drawn the name. So the winner, and we had some great entries, by the way. I just wanted to thank all the listeners for sending us these amazing photos. It was always nice to revisit some of these parks in and around Winnipeg and lakes, backyards. We had some great pictures of backyards. So thank you for sending your stories and the pictures in. And the winner of the two apple trees is Kurt Schwartz. Kurt Schwartz, congratulations. You are the owner now of a Goodland and a Honeycrisp apple tree, courtesy of Jensen's Nursery and Garden Center, 2550 McGillivray Boulevard. Thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you for having us. It was awesome.
Yeah, and thank you for giving out these two trees. I mean, I think the more trees, the better.
Oh, definitely.
We definitely need more trees.
It cleans the air, gives us fruit, gives us aesthetics. The trees are great.
Absolutely. And you, let's swing it back one more second. Thank you again for coming in,
Oh, you're
Tammy.
welcome. It was a pleasure to be here.
And you guys have a great season.
Thank you.
I know
Thank
things
you.
are just getting underway and busy, so... Well, it's been busy I asked you when you had some time off, and you said, well, we don't get time off. So it's busy all year round. This is your time off right now.
Yeah.
A little bit of a break.
Meeting in the office.
Meeting in the office. Again, thanks for coming in. I've been in conversation with Susan and Tammy Jensen from Jensen's Nursery and Garden Center. And again, congratulations to Kurt, the winner of the two apple trees, courtesy of Jensen's.